The pick is in.
The Cincinnati Bengals have made a selection in the 2024 NFL Draft. Alongside Locked On College Football host Spencer McLaughlin, I'm Tenitra Batiste, and we are joined by Jake Lisco of Locked On Bengals to break down the Bengals selecting Amarius Mims with the number 18 pick. So, Jake, Joe Burrow has been one of maybe the most banged up, beat up QBs in the league over the last couple of seasons. So, how important was it for the Bengals to send help for Joe Cool?
The Bengals were looking for help at offensive tackle today, and the way that the draft went with 4 off the board, we were kind of holding our breath as a pick approach, looking at Byron Murphy and Amarius Mims as the top 2 options as far as what we thought the Bengals would do. And we saw a cliff after Amarius Mims at tackle. So there's a bit of a sense of relief for my perspective, at least, when I'm thinking about what would be best for Joe Burrow and the Bengals. I think there is a drop-off from Amarius Mims, who will be a natural right tackle for this team, and Troy Fautanu, who goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers a couple of picks later. And so for me, I'm a fan of the pick. It was our highest-rated tackle still available, perhaps the last true first-round offensive tackle option. And they have options at tackle, Trent Brown being the free agent acquisition that allows Amarius Mims to get some experience in the preseason and take some time to develop if he needs it. He was very inexperienced at Georgia, obviously missing a lot of time with injuries. So he has an opportunity to learn a little bit before he needs to get onto the field. But that combination of size and athletic traits is tantalizing for an offensive line in Cincinnati that has never had that kind of upside in Joe Burrow's tenure.
Now, like you said, limited experience, but also Amarius Mims was part of arguably the best O-line in the nation at UGA last season and really the last couple of seasons. But when you see that in him, what do you think having an experience like that with a program that focuses so much on having good guys in the trenches, what can that help for Mims to bring to the table?
Well, it looks like he's already pretty good despite the inexperience. There's not rawness to his game. There are some areas, obviously, that need refinement. I think most tackles coming out of college need refinement, especially those that you pick at 18. But for a guy that hasn't played as much as Amarius Mims, has missed time in college and didn't get those reps, he looks very aware in pass protection. He understands a lot of what defenses are trying to do to him and trying to do to the protection scheme that he's a part of as part of that unit in Georgia's front. So the Bengals like to go to these big programs. They like to go to college football playoff teams. They do that again with Amarius Mims, where despite the inexperience, what is on tape with a very impressive college football playoff game against Ohio State in 2022, for example, being part of that portfolio for Mims, there isn't necessarily the kind of rawness you would expect for a guy that's played as little as Mims has played. And despite that, he still has the upside. And so you compare him maybe to a guy like Tyler Guyton, who has a lot of athletic traits, has great size and similar level of inexperience, but to me looks like he needs more refinement in terms of hand placement, in terms of some of his footwork at the NFL level, where Mims looks a little bit more developed, at least in the passing and passing part of his game. His pass sets look pretty developed to me.
For more on the Bengals, subscribe to Locked On Bengals on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And Spencer, he's absolutely right. Amarius Mims limited in having 9 starts, I think, total at UGA, and yet is one of the best offensive linemen out there. What do you think makes Mims so good?
He's the Josh Allen of offensive tackles. You know, there's just a raw element or a raw amount of traits that you can't teach. He's 6'7", 340. Tenitra, you can't coach that. I don't even know how you raise that, Frank. Right. I don't know where you buy clothes for that kid growing up or in college. That's got to be a nightmare. And I mean, I don't even talk about what it's got to cost to feed him over the years. He's probably taken in 2,000-3,000 calories an hour, perhaps. But that's what makes him such an intriguing NFL prospect. It is the prototypical tackle size. He's got the height and he's got the size. If you just coach him up, if you get his technique to be refined, if you are able to keep him in the sort of playing shape that you need, no reason he can't be a really, really high-end NFL offensive tackle.
For continuing coverage of the 2024 NFL Draft, subscribe to Locked On NFL on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.